began. Glaciers began melting, sea levels rose, and the Bering Land Bridge went totally underwater about 10,000 years ago. So what was Beringia like? Well, warmer and wetter than you might think, considering this is Alaska in an ice age. It was a refuge for animals like the woolly rhino and the North American camel. Its plant and animal life were more like Eurasia than North America because it was cut off from North America by the massive Laurentide ice sheet. Scientists believe it wasn't until about 20,000 years ago that a corridor opened in the Laurentide ice sheet, allowing people to migrate into the rest of the Americas. However, these numbers are constantly changing as new archaeological remains are found. Alaska was first colonized by Russians beginning in the 18th century, but it had been a long trip from Moscow to Asia's Pacific coast in the first place. Russian expansion into Asia began in earnest in the 1600s. These early Russian explorers, called Promushaliniki, meaning your orphan, were merchants and fur trappers who helped Russia expand eastward across Eurasia, seeking pelts, particularly sable. They could sell in Europe and China. As these Russians met the nomadic people of Central Asia and Siberia, they would sometimes trade with them for furs, but often they would simply demand tribute or take hostages, demanding furs and pelts be paid as a ransom, in a pattern that would be repeated with the natives of Alaska. In Russia, the Proshliniki were sometimes identified with the Cossacks, semi-nomadic people from the Carpathian Mountains. These frontiersmen were allowed a great deal of autonomy in return for providing military service when called upon. Indeed, there would be little oversight in such a vast and forbidding environment. A common saying went, "God is in his heaven, and the Tsar